Time for an episode of Speed Golf. The contestants, Tripp Eisenhower, Jaime Diaz. You know how this works. 18 seconds on the clock to answer some of golf's most pressing questions. And we'll get right to it. Brooks Koepka this year, the over-under on his number of wins is 3.
Can I stay even right there? I'd say not over, not under. I think he wins 3 again. The big question for me is when do we see him and how is his health when we do see him? I think he's not going to play till he's healthy. When that is, that's the big question.
I'm going to say under 3 because he got off to such a slow start. No start at all, actually, and that's the big issue is maybe this knee injury is bigger than we think. Plus, he's never won more than 3 in his whole career. Now, he may win 2, and they might be majors, but I don't think he'll win 3.
I think that's pretty likely. At least one of those is going to be a major. Speaking of which, Rory McIlroy, does he finally break through and win the Masters in 2020?
Well, I think he's certainly looking in the best place he's ever been. However, it's a very difficult major for him. The best he's ever done is 4th and 5th. I think the added strain of the career Grand Slam is going to weigh on him. If he does it, it'll be a great triumph, and it will be difficult.
No question it's going to be difficult, and it's starting to get more difficult the closer he gets and doesn't finish. Then it becomes more of a mental issue for him when he gets in contention again. If he gets it done, I think he needs to get it done in the next 3 years, and I say 2020 is the year.
A lot of people think it's a foregone conclusion that Jon Rahm is going to win a major championship in 2020. Does he? And if so, which one?
Harding Park, PGA, in May. Jon Rahm is the guy. And I tell you what, he's going to bounce around for number 1 this year. You look at how consistently he played, in particular the end of 2019. It carries over into 2020. Why does he win at Harding Park? Beautiful, high ball flight. You need that in spades there. That's Jon Rahm.
The fact that he, has risen so quickly and that he has as many top 10s in his first 90 starts as Tiger Woods, just, it recommends him so much. And he's done so well in majors. And I just feel like also Harding Park, a place very much like the Basque Land, a lot of overcast, a lot of heavy air, he can handle it.
Wow, he's going Basque on this. That's pretty good. Spent a lot of time talking about Justin Thomas during this broadcast. Does he get to the world's number 1 ranking in 2020?
He's got 3 very tough guys to pass. I think if the odds are against it, he's certainly the man who is of the moment. But gosh, Rahm, Koepka, Rory, maybe Rahm falls off a little. I think the other guys are going to do better. So, JT's only had 1 top 10 ever in a major. I think that works against him, too.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting year. I think the foursome, if you will, to keep it in golf parlance, is going to be that 4, and I think it's going to bounce around a little bit this year, more than people think. I think JT will touch it, but I don't think he'll keep it.
Right now, if it was ending today, Xander Schauffele and Tiger Woods would be the first 2 players out in the U.S. rankings for the Olympics in Tokyo this summer. So which of those 2 guys, if either of them, is more likely to get inside the top 4 and get to Tokyo?
Both of them. I definitely think
they're going to knock 2 guys out.
I think they will. I think Tiger Woods and Xander Schauffele are going to be on that team. I really do. I think the way they're going to play this year is going to bounce a couple of those guys. And I tell you what, it's going to be exciting for the U.S. contingent in Japan.
And the 2 guys I think are most vulnerable are Brooks Koepka because of the injury, we just don't know, and Patrick Cantlay, who is a great player, but he hasn't quite matured into somebody who maybe could handle the expectations of being on the Olympic team and qualifying for it.
Right. Again, you're saying 2 guys, knocking 2 guys out.
Because of the way they're going to play.
And it'll be Tiger and Xander.
Yeah. Wow. There you go.
All right.
Look, you can call him a riddle, you can call him the biggest question mark. Tripp, you dive into numbers as deeply as anybody. Whether it's a number or something else, what is encouraging, what should be encouraging for people who want to see him ascend again?
The guy has talent. You never lose your talent. You can lose your confidence, you can lose your swing, but you don't lose talent. And I go back to when he played in the fall. He scrambled his way to a top 10 finish. His driving was pathetic, and that's really been the genesis of his fall. Yeah, we focused on the putter for a little bit, but Jordan Spieth needs to drive the ball in play, in the fairway. When he was number 1 in the world and playing his best golf, he drove the ball very fine statistically. He wasn't the longest, but he had controlled misses. Now he's missing both ways, and it continues. And we see it crop up at inopportune times, even when he has momentum that we think he's going to carry that over. And to me, I thought he would have fixed it by now. I really do. And not changing teachers is smart. You don't want a teacher jump here. You don't want to do that. But I definitely think that Jordan Spieth will be back. Will he be back to what he was? That is the big question because, again, I go back and say you never lose your talent, Jaime, and he is very, very talented.
Yeah, it's very hard, to be early in your career, have this incredible brilliance, and then suddenly lose it, and then get it back to the same extent. I think he will get it back. And I don't think he will become a prisoner of a golf swing problem. I just think he's too aware and got too much ability to score and trust his instincts in the clutch to do that. But there is precedent, you know, for guys who came out of the blocks really well and then lost it and never were quite the same. You know, Hal Sutton was one. Johnny Miller, I think of a lot because they both won the U.S. Junior, Jordan and Johnny. Johnny didn't catch on quite as quickly as Jordan, but when he did, man, he was even more dominant than Jordan. And then he lost it completely. Right. It took him 5 years. Hal, it took 9 years before he won after he hit his slump. So both those guys still had a lot of talent, but sometimes golf can be so cruel in terms of guys getting lost. And he's at a point now where, you know, this position is something that has become maybe a hard way back. You know, you felt before like, oh, it'll click in. Now he has to retrace. Tiger always said when he found a way to get back, he had to retrace his steps. Well, there's a lot of steps to retrace right now.
Yeah.
It's interesting that slump was a word applied to him for a while. 55 starts since Birkdale when he won for the last time, and that was obviously his third major, the third of 4 major championships, which put him on the doorstep of a career Grand Slam in the next major, which, by the way, Justin Thomas won. Justin Thomas has won 8 times since Jordan Spieth won last. And at one point, Jordan Spieth had 8 wins to Justin Thomas's first win, which was at the CIMB in November of 2015. These young men are obviously very good friends. They have played junior golf together. They have partnered together exceptionally well in international team competitions. You know, Tripp, he got to weekends habitually in 2019. His scoring average Friday was #1 in scoring average, and then it went in a direction so far south that it was almost incomprehensible.
Yeah, and I think what happened was his ball striking eventually caught up to him. You know, he could kind of hide it a little bit, and it was good for a little bit, but over the 72-hole marathon, it catches up with you. That's why 72 holes is such a great litmus test, because you can't fake it around for 72 holes. But, you know, you go back to the PGA, he was driving the ball horrible at Bethpage, and he was in contention. I mean, that's what I speak about his talent, Gary, when I say, I mean, this guy is so good. His chipping and putting is so exceptional that he can still compete, not hitting it at his best. He's going to get back to hitting the ball in play again. But when you know, it's funny, we compare it to Thomas. I remember those comparisons back then. I mean, I was like, well, I'm going to take Jordan Spieth because, I mean, I look at what he can do around the green. And now I, you know, was wrong about that one.
Well, that part of the game is harder to sustain. It's harder to keep the magic there. I mean, it's beautiful when it's happening. Even Patrick Reed last week, I mean, he was just incredible around the green. It still wasn't quite enough because ball striking is really hard to overcome. I mean, bad ball striking is really hard to overcome, at least to win. You can certainly get in the top 10, but to actually carry it off, and I think the burden of that, the weight of that used to get him on the weekend. I don't know. You know, I don't want Jordan to be considered just a chipper and putter going forward. There's no reason for him not to be a good tee to green player again.
I will say this, for him to week after week get himself into contention heading into the weekend, play so poorly and show up the next week and play well, it was very admirable and shows you that he loves the fight.